Hey guys, so this is my 1 week breastfeeding update. Yeah. Okay, so I've been breastfeeding since the day I had him. We did have to supplement with formula in the hospital, and when we got home, because my milk hadn't came in the hospital, I just had the colostrum and I wasn't making enough for him to get full on. And yeah, so we do use formula if we absolutely have to. We were doing really good for the past couple days, but I had to go to the ER last night, and I'll explain more about that in a second. So he did get formula last night. Usually if he does get formula though, it's only to top off. Like if he wakes up before his 3-hour mark, or you know, too much before, he will nurse off me, and then we'll give him like an ounce of formula to kind of top him off. His doctor has me feeding him 3 ounces every 3 hours. So I have been breastfeeding him, and then I pump afterwards. I'm trying to increase my supply so I can eventually get like a storage up. It's not working too well right now. I'm just barely staying on top of his feedings, but I'm sure it will. Sorry, he's in my arms, that's why I keep looking down. But I'm sure it will increase, eventually. So, the biggest issue we had up until last night was between him just being a very sleepy baby, and also me taking Percocet for the pain from the labor and delivery issues I had. He's just really sleepy, so he will either go like 4 or 5 hours without waking up, or he does the opposite and he'll like wake up every couple hours because he falls asleep during his feedings. You can jiggle him, you can try to like rough him up a little bit to like wake him up, and he is just out. So that was one of the big problems when we first came home, because I'd feed him for like 3 or 4 minutes and he'd be out. Now he's better. He usually finishes one side and then doesn't start drifting off until like halfway through the other side. So I have been feeding him both sides. When he's done with one, I burp him and then switch him over to the other, let him top off on that side, and then the next feeding I start on the side that he ended on. There's him. He's crashed out. He just ate, so he's fairly happy. Okay, so last night, yesterday I woke up, I was really achy, my boobs hurt really bad, my stomach hurt. Later in the afternoon I got chills and checked my temperature, and I had a fever. Tried to tough it out. Eventually at a little bit before 4 I called my doctor, and he was in a delivery, so the nurse said that they would get a hold of him as soon as possible, and they'd call me back that night. And right before 5 I called them back again to see if they'd heard anything, and they still hadn't, and they said they would once their clinic closed, which is at 5, they would go over and ask him, and they'd call me, and then they didn't. So ate dinner, and around 8 or 9 I called the OB department at my hospital and said what I had, like my symptoms, and was like, is this normal, and they said probably not, and I should go into the ER. So I went to the ER last night, and I found out I have double mastitis. So I have 2 masses in my right breast and one in my left. They're just kind of swollen lumps. The one in my right are worse, so you could actually see inflammation on my boob when you looked at it. The other one you had to like feel for the lump. They said it was really rare to get it in both breasts. Usually moms only get it in one. So they prescribed me more Percocet and also azithromycin, and it's one of the antibiotics that you just take for 5 days. So I took 2 yesterday at the ER. They gave me my first dose because none of the pharmacies were open, and then I took 1 today, and then I have 3 more days of taking it, and it continues to work in my system for another 5 days after that. So I assume that within the next 10 days I'll be, better. Already today though, I felt so much better. My boobs still hurt, but they're not anything like yesterday, and I didn't have a crazy fever or anything. They did tell me, other than the pain meds, just to soak in hot baths, put warm compresses on them, and to nurse. So it was kind of handy last night that he woke up every hour and a half, because I would just nurse him. And it did help, I think. It hurt, but it helped at the same time. It was, kind of weird. But yeah. So anyways, that is my first week of breastfeeding. So, yeah. I will see you guys later. Bye.